Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. I'm your boy, Bodkins. And, of course, joining me, as always, is Mr. Bobby Blunts. Bobby, it was a busy Saturday. Nonetheless, we had the PFL. Then we got into the boxing. And then we, had the Dustin Poirier retirement fight. Did not get quite the happy ending. But it was still a nice ending. Bobby, I don't really know where do you want to start at? Do you want to start out with PFL Saturday? I thought maybe the shocker of the day was the loss to Johnny Eblen, and because I had to go back. I told you I didn't watch it live, and I was like, I'm sure. I messaged you when I got home. I said, Eblen, I'm sure Eblen just ran through it, and you're like, you might need to watch it. So.
Yeah, I didn't want to spoil it for you.
I mean, to me, that was like kind of the upset of the weekend, I thought, out of all the fights. I know really kind of 318 really had upsets like on the main card galore, but we weren't too surprised. But I'll just ask you, your headline is your takeaway from Saturday.
I mean, it's weird if you take away from the whole entire Saturday because Usyk being the man would probably still kind of dominate that. I loved how the PFL card lined up perfectly with Usyk walking and stuff. So I was able to, check everything out there. But yeah, no, definitely the Eblen fight was the talk of the town for that. I definitely wrote dude off in like the second round and was saying he's done. He looks gassed. But, as the fight wore on, Eblen also looked a little bit tired himself. And the longer the fight went on, it looked like Eblen was just holding him there. But it was pretty wild in the finishing sequence because, like, Eblen had his back with, like, 50 seconds to go. And he was able to still, get him off. And, he was just done at that point and pretty much didn't even tap out. I mean, they had to, pull him off. So, yeah, amazing comeback. Absolutely. I don't know really how the PFL felt about it. At the same time, I guess they can still kind of do the rematch and stuff. I think his previous fight, he wasn't even on like a main card or anything. So it was kind of weird to see him get his elevation there. Do you got his name in front of it? Because I know I'm going to butcher it if I say it.
I'll look it up real quick. I can't remember off the top of my head, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like as far as like an upset sense for like where the fight was going and stuff, you could definitely call it an upset. I mean, the lines would call it an upset. I wasn't giving him a hell of a chance at all after the first round.
Van Steens was his name.
Yeah, Van Steens. And I mean, he absolutely got it done. And he definitely needed that finish. I don't think he would have been able to get the decision. But being able to capitalize that with literally 10 seconds left, that's just great.
Yeah, Rob's saying Eblen chokes figuratively, literally, and physically and epically. I mean, kudos, Rob. He did in all facets of life on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell, he definitely had an edge in the striking, so it's why Johnny wanted to grapple there. Some people are talking about the elevation and cape, so I don't know if that really affected him. It seemed like Eblen always kind of has this story of, he's never fighting in America. So, whether it's, him fighting in Abu Dhabi, him fighting in Saudi Arabia, he always just has to seem this thing getting tired. I know all of, the UFC homers are going to act like now Paulo Costa could beat him in a fight or something. Like, let's, slow down with that. He's still a very good fighter. He just lost to the better man in that scenario. And, someone I had to be on record, I thought really had no chance of winning prior to the fight. But even in the fight, I mean, it really looked like he was just dead, but he definitely got the second wind and was able to, you know, get a finish. And definitely the entire PFL card, like the PFL Africa, I think it went very well. You know, you kind of had some odd fouls and stuff in the beginning of it, but then, you know, that started cruising. It kind of went back and forth between heavyweights and bantamweights. And then when you got to the main card of the PFL Cape, that was also, you know, very entertaining. We got some Khabib fighters. AJ McKee looked really just completely rebored. Maybe he was really hampered with that shoulder injury in the Hughes fight he was alluding to. So, I mean, he looked great. And, you know, definitely a great day for the PFL as far as being able to get the product on and, you know, having it the same day, not coinciding with anything with the UFC. But shit, it was even done before the main event in the boxing. So I don't think they could have really gone for a better day there. Dakota Ditcheva looked great. I know a lot of people were making, you know, noise that she couldn't get the finish. And, you know, to me, if the best thing you can say about it is, oh, her opponent was tough, that's just a nice way of, you know,
saying she got her ass beat. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and she had nothing for it. What's Rob saying here?
Rob saying, so happy for the athletes of Africa. It's such a great thing to see. Opportunity for all is super necessary. Yeah.
And I'm glad they kept hammering that on the broadcast, saying that they were the first ones there. That is definitely a feather they should see in the cap. And, you know, all of these crowds overseas, whether it's in Paris, wherever the hell else they've gone.
Ireland, yeah.
I mean, they deliver. And it's why I've kind of made the joke that I really wish PFL would just stick to the international scene, because the crowds are just so much more electric, you know. No shade to Chicago or anything. I mean, that one kind of filled up well, but you know, I'm more pointing out, you know, the Universal Studio cards, but you know, they're doing what they have to work with, and Don Davis was front and center watching all the fights, so kudos to you, Don. But they kind of got, you know, regarding the Eblin rematch, they got some leg room there, or if they just want to give this guy the tournament winner and build Eblin back up, I would kind of go for the latter on that. I'm not really, I could see if Eblin wants to get back the one fight that he's lost, but I don't think they could really go wrong in that sense. I don't really think it's a, you know, Usman Hughes scenario where it'd be kind of promoter malpractice if they didn't go in that direction. So, you know, they got their options open. And, but yeah, my main takeaway before we get into 318 is just Usyk is the fucking man. I mean,
yeah, we'll get into the boxing. Yeah, here in just a minute. We'll probably just kind of talk about that at the back end, see if Whit joins us this evening. But real quick, you mentioned Dakota. She wins, and then it's kind of pointed out she kind of got a new deal here with the PFL. I'm surprised, really. But I didn't. I saw clips of her on Ariel's show today, and she kind of said they pretty much made sure, like, hey, I'm going to fight on so many times. These, you know, I'm going to have these opponents. Like, she's trying to put her. Kind of said, hey, I'm the face of the PFL. Get used to it. But I'm surprised that she signed the contract to stay at the PFL.
I'm really not, when you look at it from the sense of they definitely gave her more money than the UFC was going to offer.
That's probably
period.
True. Yeah.
And I do like the wording that she was talking about in the contract. I do wonder if there's kind of an ejecting clause from that, if, you know, PFL doesn't honor their side of the bargain. But definitely good to get that language in there, because that definitely seemed to be her most frustrating part with them, was just not being able to get fights. And, you know, I think it's great that I don't think it's an overstep for her to say she's the face of the PFL, because she's, you know, definitely one of those fighters where I don't really care what the matchup is. Like, just have her fight, you know? Like, I would prioritize activity over, trying to ice her and have her fight a tournament winner and stuff. She's young. She wants to fight. Just have her fight.
Yeah, Rob's nailed it on the head too. Dakota's run the Harrison playbook, very smart, especially in women's MMA for pay and marketing. I agree, Rob. Like she's taking the Kayla Harrison playbook, and she's doing even better. She's not even going to enter these dumb tournaments. I don't think. Like she's not in the tournaments now. I don't think she's going to be in the tournaments. So I kind of agree as far as like, hey, let them build the star, and then. To where her money's going to, her star's so bright that you eventually going to have the UFC is going to open up the pocketbooks, and she's going to come over to the UFC and have 1 or 2 fights, and she wins those fights, fight for the title. So
yeah, and obviously the selfish fan in me, like I could go down the list of fights I would really love to see in the UFC, but I would much rather her, completely monetize her own worth and get paid every dollar she owes, because each time she's in there she looks better, and the benefit of this fight going the full distance is at least she got that cage time. Even with a broken hand, her opponent really had nothing for it. And to be respectful, I don't think it was ever an intriguing aspect of could this be something to fall off? I know some people were chirping that about the Evelyn fight, but I never really thought she was in danger at any point. If someone wanted to be the argument that she had a good game plan because she didn't get finished, sure. But, it was a couple of those rounds were easy 10-8s for me. I mean, her opponent did absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Kevin Holland Oates here, he says, once one drops all its MMA fighters, Dakota's potential opponent pool will really open up. So, and that's probably true. So we already saw, I think they dropped their BJJ. And so she could be, I don't know. She's not in the octagon right now, but she might be going to the UFC's BJJ promotion. Who knows? I kind of saw something.
Please go to CGI first. Do not get locked up in their contracts. Like Craig Jones himself was talking about this. Like the main thing the UFC does with that is the exclusivity part. And so, if you're going to do that, CGI is coming up. Try to lock that down. They might already have the women's side of that tournament built out. But the first thing when I saw that release was, please go to CGI.
So, we'll see what happens there. Let's move into 318. I alluded to it at the top. We didn't get quite the happy ending, and we'll start with Max Holloway beating Dustin Poirier. I don't want to say handedly, but just I didn't really ever felt like Dustin I didn't feel like we saw the Dustin Poirier that we're used to seeing. I felt like he even kind of admitted he thought he was a little gun shy. And even in the 10-second, the stare down where Max is swinging, he kind of clinched up and, kind of did the wrestle for a second. He said he didn't want to end up like Justin. And I think one judge had it 4-1 or something like that. I don't know. It was close, but I thought Max won pretty easily. Your thoughts and kind of to me, like what do you do here at 155? Because you have a fresh champion in Ilya. Max Holloway has a lot of options. Obviously, he's only fought Justin, and I love Justin Gaethje, but the things I'm seeing on him, I'd hate to say it, but he's kind of being like a whiny little bitch right now. And I wouldn't say that to the man's face, but I'm just calling it like I see it. Like, he's saying if they want me to fight Patty, I think they're done with me. I only really want to fight for the title. But here's the thing: is like you lost to Max, so like in my mind, like by that logic, Max should be next. And I know that he just fought Ilya at 145, but we could sign up to 155. You have Armin there. His knock is, well, he had an opportunity and he didn't do it. He pulled out. Whether it seemed like Dana alluded to feels like he could have fought. Armin saying that he couldn't have fought, and I'm not signing up for Paddy Pimblett. I think he needs one more because he's at ranked like 10. So I'm gonna ask you your thoughts first on the main event, and then what the hell do we do here at 155?
Okay, yeah, very loaded question. So I'm going to peel this back in layers. Before I get to the main event of it, I want to definitely give the UFC a lot of credit for how the show was produced. When I saw them actually pay up for the Fightville footage and had that on their own broadcast, like, the UFC, like, they own all their footage. They love it that way. If a new fighter comes from another organization, they will show him shadow boxing in his garage before they show some of his fights because they don't pay up for that. The UFC like treated Dustin like a good soldier that has done everything, and they made every accommodation for that. I think it was very well done because like I was even critical about how it was very top heavy. We knew we were like tuning into one fight, and they did a very good. I mean, the fights did a good job of making me also forget that. But the production staff did a great job of making me forget that as well, especially with like the prelims were all finishes. So they had to do a lot of like very repeated footage that we were showing. Yeah. The Max highlights got old pretty quickly because, we had a feeling Max was not going to retire. But every time that they were showing those Dustin packages, it was just like hit me a little bit more like, damn, this is really going to be the last one. I'm glad they've set it up for this moment. And so that all worked out. Save me with the Lil Wayne did not perform. If you think Lil Wayne should perform, go look at Lil Wayne's WrestleMania performance. It was a gift from God that he did not walk him out.
Just go listen to the Carter 6 and you'll know why nobody wants to hear Wayne anymore.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to trash Wayne in any sense. It's going to sound like that, but it was like just the most insane nitpicking I've ever seen when like there was just the most home run with like the video packages and stuff. And then it's like, oh, Lil Wayne doesn't have a microphone in his hand. Like some people couldn't even notice he was there. Like, yeah. I don't know what you were looking at. Like, that's not his other corner, man. That's clearly Lil Wayne. But, all that stuff aside, and like him coming out first, like, who gives a flying fuck? Like, I thought that was perfect because, like, he was able to slow walk, do it on his own time, make Max essentially wait, came out with the Louisiana flag. I really wouldn't change a thing about any of that. That was all perfect. What's Kevin saying about Wayne?
He said Wayne's his GOAT and he's like a retired boxer. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's a good shout. And so, yeah, I think all that was done really well. Now getting to the fight, yeah, that first round was definitely scary. You saw Dustin go down, and it was like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, this is gonna, this might just be rough, but hey, it's the game, and it's probably what he wanted.
There's a lot of, real quick before you go, I wanted to hit on some things. The internet is just haters anyway, right? We know that. Haters gonna fucking hate. Speaking of like the Wayne thing, and then it was like, obviously Dustin retires. Oh, it's time to have the conversation. He wasn't that good. Shut up. Dustin Poirier is a legend in this game. He's a Hall of Famer. Like in my mind, like, if you're into those type, if that's a thing, he's won he didn't win the undisputed, but he won he was literally in a in the division with Khabib. He fought the who's who, right? We went through the thing, and then it's like, oh well, Max let him up in round one, or they didn't finish him, or like all these little intricacies instead of just like enjoying the fights. Like, let's just enjoy the fights. So, but yeah, there was little things on the internet that people are just like, more or less bitching about.
Yeah, those motherfuckers need to go touch some grass.
Yeah.
Like, literally. And
Do that, Rob.
like the second round, for example. And like, this is like what really hit home to me. And it was from there on, it was a little bit of a downer, but I did not have the same reaction as a lot of people when Dustin rocked Max and had his best opportunity for a fight finishing sequence. It was like, oh, he might actually be able to pull this off. And I obviously can't hold it against Dustin, and I knew it was coming.
Where he jumps the gilly.
The second he jumped the gilly, I just put my hands on my face, and I knew he wasn't winning the fight. Because like, his best chance to win was right there. And I understand it's something he's always wanted to get done, but that was a pretty sobering moment in it, because it, obviously he still had a chance, but that is always going to be the biggest what if moment for me in that fight. Is what if he just followed up and tried to finish him?
To his own detriment, he even said, I didn't fight like I normally fought. I think I held something back. Like, I didn't put myself in the fire. Yeah. I think two things to that. Number one, he knew it was his last fight, knew his daughter, didn't want to be laid out in retirement, right? It didn't, I think he goes back and probably thinks about that knockout that Justin Gaethje gave him. Then remember, we just watched Gaethje. One of the last times Max fought, Gaethje got laid out by Max. So I think all those things kind of in the back of his mind, like, hey, I'm here in front of my hometown, my whole family. I can't get laid out. Him. I can't get laid out.
Oh, you're back. You're back.
Okay. I can't get laid out, right? Like, that's in the back of his mind in front of my hometown. Like, if I can just get finished, let's finish this nice little story here. Because if I get laid out, so even like he said, I didn't fight like I normally fought. I wasn't aggressive. I didn't go to the fire like I normally do.
Yeah, and to steal a line from Dana White, this is probably all the indications that this is probably the best time to be hanging it up. And I mean, his number one thing was not wanting the sport to lap him and stuff. So, and I know this might sound corny, but to me, the result of that night was almost irrelevant. Because when you really just looked at, and I know that was like some people's kind of beef with the fight in the first place, is like, what is this and stuff? But it really did deliver on all those kind of emotional levels and stuff. And I mean, Max Holloway is one of the most realist motherfuckers I've ever seen in the UFC. Because, like, for him to have the thought of just immediately cutting DC off in the cage and, said his little piece and said, I'm out. This is his moment, not mine. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And then when they were lackluster in the noise, coming back and saying, hell no, like, you better make some louder noise. I mean, Max is just really one of one when, with his peers like that. And it just like nails home that was the best last fight for Dustin, because it really made the result an afterthought. And I don't know any other fighter that would have put their moment behind for their peer like Max did there.
Yeah, and Rob saying it best. Max gave the most classy post fight speech of all time. Yeah, I can't disagree with that. Like, he literally was like, I mean, they didn't even go to the highlight package, right? Like, he was just pretty much like, nah, this ain't about me. It's about this man. See y'all. So yeah,
and it was 100% genuine too. Like, nothing about it was forced. It was just complete all love from Max. And at the point, I completely forgot that Dustin lost the fight by the time they were interviewing him. Because, you're just really trying to take all that moment in. I think the UFC really nailed it with the video package. These people that are saying Anthony Smith had a better video package, I'm sorry, put down the crack pipe. Like, that is just insane. Like, the amount of effort in editing in the video alone, compared to the Anthony Smith one. And, I think that's just, people being on the internet. So we'll just touch that to, them literally needing to touch grass.
Yeah, real quick, before we answer what's kind of next at 155 here, what would Chandler have done? Chandler would have called out Conor McGregor. He would have said, Conor McGregor, I beat the man that beats you. So you got to come back and face me at the White House. That's what Chandler would have done.
Chandler would have been in there for 6 minutes. And yeah. But again, that's why Chandler was not in this position, ever a consideration. I know damn well Dustin would not have shared the octagon with him for his last fight. Yeah. And that's a great shout by Kev. Chandler would have made it about himself. And, simply put, Max was selfless in that act.
So what do we do at what do we do here at 155? So Rob kind of answered the question a little bit. He says Max versus Charles, because Max said it. Patty versus Ilya. I really feel, Rob, though, Patty needs one more. And then he said Armin's now secretly ranked 10th. He pissed off. I agree the second part. And then what do you do with Justin Gaethje, who is pretty much alluding to like title shot or retirement, or I don't know what you do with Gaethje if it's not a title shot. So I'm gonna let you go, Bobby. Kind of matchmake here at the top of 155.
I mean, you already know what I want. I've made no secret about this. The UFC can really fuck off in the aspect of wanting to, if they really want to, keep putting Armin through, who are you going to have him fight? You want him to literally knock off your contenders and stuff? I get from their sense of being soured, but if you're talking about competition and being intrigued of not knowing what's going to happen, the only fight to make is Ilya versus Armin.
Okay. I'm going to ask you this. You're thinking like Bobby Blunt. Now I need you to think like the UFC. So that's what they should do. And I probably agree with that. But what will they do?
Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be Armin. What Rob said is true. And I'd have to give Gaethje credit for actually acknowledging that he knows the UFC is done with him. Because, there are no favors in the sport. They may have offered you a title shot to take that BMF fight at UFC 300, but we're already on to 319, and, they have a very short memory. It's always been a what have you done for me lately business. The one thing I would hope is the one chance that Armin actually has is just being ready and available for the booking. But at the same time, I'm sure Gaethje is also ready and available. I'm sure Patty would be ready and available. However, Patty, has he needs a decent time for a camp to get down with weight. So I don't want to act like I'm holding on to the hope that it might be Armin, but I guess essentially talking it out, that's exactly what I'm doing. Because Patty does not make any sense. Save this fucking bullshit WrestleMania storyline shit.
I think Patty. So this is what I would do. I would do Patty versus Armin, and this is what I think Armin's next. Should be next, and I somewhat agree with that. But I also subscribe to the notion you had your opportunity, and you didn't come up with it, and so I'm mixed about Armin, really, to be honest. I see both sides, so I'm kind of wishy-washy. But I would do Armin versus Patty. I would probably do Max versus Charles, and I would give Ilya Gaethje for the title, Ilya beats Gaethje, and Gaethje rides off into the sunset, and we're done with it. We're done with him, and that's the way to clean it up.
Yeah, for me, I think it makes it more messy because yeah, and I'm not saying that they wouldn't do it. What's he saying here?
So yeah, I agree with Rob here. He said my fellow Robert. He said you can kill a main event and turn down a fight, the rematch with Gamrot. That's career suicide. That's true. I agree with Rob.
Yeah, and I get that perspective about it.
Me and Rob only disagree on heavyweights. That's it.
Yeah, as long as, but like legitimately, I mean, like let's make the case for like Ilya, like that would give you beating Armin would give you more clout than like the second he beat Charles. What did everyone say? He's old. So what are people going to say when he?
But if he if he beat Justin, and I get Justin's old, you're a legend killer. You have become the legend killer. Randy Orton 2009. You could rename him the Legend Killer. Fuck the El Matador. He is the new Legend Killer, killing off all the legends.
Yeah, but he's also killing off all of Khabib's sloppy seconds. And that's why, like, Armin, they do not have that in common. That is someone Khabib has not fought. I know Islam has fought him, but if he's really talking about wanting that Islam fight, that is the most compelling fight to get that happening. You know, a Patty fight, they're just going to clown him. A Gaethje fight, they're just going to clown him. And, you know, he ain't doing himself any favors, you know, talking with the Nelk boys either. I mean, that's just going to keep piling on. So, but, you know, he moves in his own ways. He's going to, you know, do whatever he wants. But he also made it sound like it's either going to be Justin or Patty. And, you know, if that's what it is, that's what it is. But I'd be lying if I was saying that is the fight I'd want. I mean, if I were Ilya, I'd keep going on the tour of trying to silence your naysayers instead of giving them fuel to continue to burn it down. And that's exactly what those other two matchups would be.
But I think Armin is his toughest matchup. So if you subscribe to the Chael Sonnen matchup, give me the easiest guy for the most money.
And that
that's what I would do.
Yeah, I mean, these are just all the things that remind me it's really not a real sport. But yeah, you're right.
I mean, it's a business all at the same time. You got to make the most money. It's prize fighting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, I guess if you're going off pay-per-views, I think that's the most popular thing why people are saying Patty versus Ilya, but I don't know, man. It's I'm just at a loss for words, mainly because I know it's going to happen. You know, I can want this all I want, but
yeah.
Like
I think Armin just screwed the pooch. That he screwed himself, and that's on him.
To that point, I'd be more interested in watching Ilya versus Gamrot over these other names. Like at least that's fresh and compelling, you know. Yeah. And I don't know. It's
Rob pointed out here's a name too, and he just hasn't. He's been hurt, but I wouldn't mind seeing Max versus Dan Hooker. That'd be a fun fight.
I think Max would beat the fuck out of Dan Hooker. Personally.
I do too. I do too.
And you know, but I've counted my chips on Dan Hooker before, and they haven't cashed. So I'm not trying to sell him short, but Max definitely seems to be in that range in the division where I think he could beat anyone in that division not named Ilya Topuria, and Armin would that would be the one. Like, and I know Armin and Max would be a lot more like, okay, you want to make Armin go through the coals and earn his title shot. Why not have him fight the guy that kills off every contender when he's matched up with him?
That's true. Yeah, you could do Armin and Max. I don't mind that.
And but I would almost prefer to wait for a clear contender instead of just giving Ilya, like, I don't want to call it a mulligan, but I really just don't know how you can really sell me on the. I guess you could sell it on, like, we went over this last time when you were, campaigning for Gaethje, and it is the one.
If you're Ilya, and really, in all honesty, I would tell him to wait. So, like, we just got all the kind of pretty much all the pay-per-views lined up, right? Like, all the kind of announced. So, in the next few months, all the way up to, like, I think November's gonna be
Islam JDM.
Yeah, and maybe the featherweight title's probably tacked onto that. So that was and then you'll have a December fight somewhere. But maybe you wait till next year and you see if Islam wins or loses. He loses, he probably comes back down. If he wins, he might come back down. But you kind of maybe wait to see what Islam does, and that's the big money fight. But if you think you can get if you don't want to wait and you can get a patty fight or, some easy money fight, why not?
Yeah. In that sense, I would prefer Ilya to be active instead of waiting, and just if it's not going to be Armin, similar to Gon Tom, just line them up and we'll see what we can get. But the only one in that division, I think, that currently can beat Ilya that is not named Islam because he's not in the division would be Armin. So, I mean, to me, that's the shoe-in, which means that's absolutely not the direction they would go. But like you said, they did build it out. So why not, wait to see if we get some activity. I don't know if he's going to even fight by the end of the year. They might be saving him for, that December end of the year card, or they might just bill him the top half of next year. And if they're doing that, hopefully they get some more activity. But, to answer the thumbnail question of who is next at 55, I'd be lying if I could tell you with any certainty. But I do not think, and please don't take this as I do not think Max deserves a title shot. It should not be Max next. I have zero interest in watching that fight again. I need at least one more for him to beat a guy that is a actual contender at 155 before we do that. Because, I love Dustin Poirier more than anyone, but, let's be real. He's kind of been squatting on his ranking. I don't think he should move. Max should move up or down or even be in contention for that. And, Max sold it with the promo and all. I have history with the guy with the title, but, you could do any of those fights. And to me, if that's the case, like, give me Armin versus Max next. And
I don't mind it. I like it. Real quick to kind of wrap up some other 318 talk. I mean, the main card, it was, so you mentioned a lot, fury of finishes in the prelims. To get to the main card, all decisions, but all the dogs won, baby. I mean, Michael Johnson plus 550. He turns back the clock. Patricio Pitbull beats Dan Ige. He was plus 185. He kind of wants Pico next. I don't mind that.
You really said that?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Okay, sorry to cut you off. Keep going.
Two former PFL Bellator fighters going at it. D-Rod wins at plus 425, beats Kevin Holland. I was kind of surprised. I don't Kevin Holland, man, I think didn't you say when you pick him to win, he loses, and when he pick that's on you. Why did you do that? Why did I do that? I picked him to win too. I should have went the opposite.
Yeah, I literally thought that on Saturday. That was a great fight,
Yeah.
sequences back and forth. I do think at one point in the third round, if Holland would have just stepped off, he probably would have got the finish. I mean, D-Rod was dead. I know Herb Dean wasn't reffing that fight, but it sure felt like he was.
Yeah, I mean, D-Rod hurt Kevin Holland a few times, I think in the second even.
Yeah, no, it was a real just back and forth.
That fight was everything we thought it was going to be, I thought. Really, just two guys duking it out.
And, credit to D-Rod. He definitely looks like, he's gotten some wins off in a row. So it's good to see him ranked now. It'll be kind of interesting to see where they go there. I was kind of surprised that they did not get fight of the night. But at the same time, it didn't really bother me because I do think Vettori, Brendan Allen deserved it to be a candidate because
that was a hell of a fight too.
That fight should have been the co-main event. Period.
Yeah, we said that at the beginning. And how about this? We thought they were going to wrestle. No wrestling. Just two dudes just throwing hands at each other in Brendan Allen and Vettori.
Yeah, I wish Brendan Allen would fight guys he hates a lot more. Because, it was funny. Like the UFC pretty much put that on the prelims because they thought it was going to be, more of a grappling affair. And it was the furthest thing from it. They both did damage and they seemed to more or less leave it all in the cage. But that fight delivered on all cylinders of going back and forth. And
real quick, Pablo Costa turned back the clock. He thinks he was also a plus 180. So all the dogs besides Poirier won on the main card. He calls out to Hamzat. We all know Hamzat's got a title fight here in a couple of weeks, about 3 weeks time or so. Kudos, I guess, for Pablo calling out maybe a guy that could be a future champ or at least the number one contender. But I don't think the UFC is going to be signing up Pablo Costa versus Hamzat again. We were supposed to have that, I think, about 2 years ago, I feel like.
Yeah. Where do I start this?
Your fight of the night, baby.
I'll probably start in the assets of, yes, Paulo looked better. Definitely kind of more aggressive early. This idea that he looked like the old Paulo, I still really did not see that. Like, yes, he did look more aggressive, but at no point in time did I think that fight was coming to a finish where, Paulo's previous fights, you're like, oh, damn, he's just going to walk forward and here we go. Granted, he kind of earned the right to take the third round off because he clearly won the other two. And I think in the end, I just really overrated Kopylov. And but I'm not trying to make it all about like what Kopylov did not do. Paulo did look well, but the word I used on Saturday was just uninspiring.
I thought Pitbull, he won, but I felt like that was uninspiring as well.
Ironically, both Captain Eric fighters. We'll get to that in another segment probably, but and Pitbull, I'm not trying to like rake through the coals as bad because it really wasn't too impressive, but at the same time he did beat a ranked UFC opponent, which he had never done before, so it was kind of good to get the monkey off his back there. But I do think it was justified with no interview. Just keep it moving. And, but at the same time, that's just going to make me sound like a salty hater. So they should have interviewed him. They should have given him his moment. And it's a good thing that he's got it in the cap, but I do really wonder if that's as far as Pitbull goes. I don't really know these other guys that are ranked, if the fight would play out any differently. Maybe they should have him headline in Apex. And I do not mean that. That normally would be a condescending comment, but I think the UFC should just start getting what they paid for in Pitbull, and that would be to have him, headline in Apex and build up.
Get headline a main event in a fight night somewhere.
I guess. I would. The reason I want to see him in the Apex is I do wonder if he is just kind of overthinking it a little bit in there. And the Apex, it's kind of hard to overthink anything because you can hear a pin drop. But, he did get the win. So, and Ige did look, very flat. So that very well could have been just, Pitbull's game plan there. It was a pretty rough night for Nixick, for sure. You rarely see that. I think every fighter that he had lost. So, that was kind of a rare one. And, the main card on itself probably would have been fine if we didn't just have all those prelims and stuff where it was all the finishes. So that's the only reason it dragged. But at the same time, all those other fights on the main card, I could have asked for another 2 rounds for. I can't say that for the co-main event. So I'm sorry. I stand by my comments, and that is the worst co-main event that we have had in a very long time. And I think our standards are
on a pay-per-view.
I think our standards are dumbed down. I mean, hell, people are being like, well, we just got Paulo Costa on the co-main event, so what's the big deal that we don't have to be determined and to be determined?
That's going to be a
these
banger.
Cards are fucking $80. I want to get my money's worth. Yeah. And, the only reason Paulo Costa is on these numbered pay-per-views is because he makes good money and the UFC wants to, try to get their squeeze out of it. But, I'm sorry. What I saw on Saturday, I think he should be headlining the Apex. And I'm glad I don't have to see Paulo fight for another 6 months. I know I'm sounding like a dick and being too hard, but the rewatch was, oh God, it was rough. Normally I enjoy going back and rewatching these.
It might be a year. It might be a year.
Granted, I do have to say, Paulo only fought the fight that his opponent would give him. So I probably should be laying a lot more into Kopylov. But we've spent far too much time talking about this horseshit fight. Yeah, I mean that we know where I stand with this. So
before we get in the box, I just want to look at this week's card. I mean, speaking of co-mains, I mean, this week's co-main's better than that co-main. You got the former bantamweight champion Peter Yan taking on Marcus McGee in the co-main, but it's headlined by none other than the former middleweight champion Robert Whittaker versus the undefeated in the UFC RDR, baby. This fight here, I mean, RDR wins this. He's put himself in right there at the peak of the middleweight contention and could be next for a title. He is 20-2. Witt is 27-8. He's coming off that bad loss to Hamzat. RDR, we know last time out. I mean, this is his biggest, toughest matchup in the UFC. I mean, this is a huge jump. He's literally going from Gerald Meerschaert, Kevin Holland, Bo Nickel to Robert Whittaker. So it's like, okay, kid, here's you went through the ladder and now you're top rung. You missed the middleweights here, the whole middle of the rung.
Yeah, but I don't think it's too soon. Oh, wait, hold on. What's Rob saying about Pablo?
Oh, Rob just said Pablo's got that spot because he's huge on social media. Yeah, agreed.
And, yeah, but the thing is, Twitter's free, and I can look at his tweets for free. I'm not required to pay $80 for it. So, good God. Good job, though, Rob, for getting me to harp back on it. Getting back to RDR, I don't think this is too little too soon because, he is a former champion. I think the UFC is finally acknowledging, we actually have to book this guy respectfully because, we tried just saying, hey, our UFC fighters are better than one fighters. That shit did not work at all. We tried to build Bo Nickel's name off him. That shit failed miserably.
See
And
that, Rob? Rob's saying RDR's fourth and final fight on his contract, so he's about to get paid, especially if he wins.
And that, it's wild that he's pretty much undefeated in the UFC. And yeah, he's already getting ready to fight. And that's kind of the weird thing. I would be shocked if they don't re him up before this fight. Because, if he beats Whittaker, I mean, you'd think they would want to get a new contract signed and done. Because he's just going to, demand probably more. And, they'll probably just shun it and say, hey, take this. But, yeah, it's pretty wild that he's already getting close to fight out his contract. I mean, he's been fairly, active in that sense. And he's been on, I think he's only had one fight in the Apex against Mershart there.
Yep.
And so, yeah. And, him and Whittaker are like the same age.
Yeah,
so
both
like,
34. Both are 34. I just looked at it.
Yeah. And so, yeah, stylistically, I think that's a home run. I mean, this card, if it still had most of our Pico on it, easily. Like, what the? Sorry, I got a cat screaming, making sure no ruckus is going on. But, I mean, I was saying weeks ago, I think this was better than last Saturday's pay-per-view. And
yeah,
even with the co-main event missing, I think I might stand by that. Because, the whole thing is just, built pretty stylistically. And I'm sorry, but these fights matter. Opposed
RDR is a slight dog at plus 135. Who you like, the Whittaker, or are you riding with RDR?
It's really hard to just make it so simple like that, because I could see avenues for both of them winning. Whittaker will come in with that mean mug, and that's kind of always been his style. I do think the interesting part in this, though, could be the grappling, because, I don't expect, RDR doesn't have these insane shots like Chimaev has or anything, but he is live to always get a finish if grappling is going on. So I do think he has a few more avenues to win the fight, but at the same time, Robert Whittaker is Robert Whittaker. So I do agree with the line that, he should be, a slight favorite at minus 175 in Whittaker there. But I don't know, man. There's just something about RDR where he's just so fucking goofy in how he reminds me of a different version of Drickus.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, actually. I was getting ready to say that. So he's like Drickus, but taller, maybe?
And Whittaker had issues with Drickus and how awkward he was.
Yeah.
So call me a prisoner of the moment, but I'm going to go to Ritter here.
Man, Robert Whittaker is one of the best guys in this, as personality wise, is one of the best people in this sport, much less fighting wise. And we all know, you beat Robert Whittaker, you're a legit top middleweight, right? This guy only loses to the best of the best at middleweight. Izzy, obviously, DDP, and Hamzat. He has fought the who's who at middleweight. Every time they brought up a contender, he's turned them back. Much like Max Holloway at 145 at one point.
Two former champions going at it. I mean, it's matchmaking home run.
Yeah, this is a hell of a fight. I'm going to go the opposite here. I'm going to ride with the UFC veteran. I probably picked against RDR in every fucking. I think I might have picked him to beat Kevin Holland because it was at middleweight. But I'm going Bobby Knuckles, baby, one last time here. I just fear if Bobby loses, I don't know what's next.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think there's still interesting fights. You know, he can still beat down Kaio after he loses to Imavov, and um, so yeah, but he did allude to, this is kind of his last run and
Yeah.
last chance. So I definitely do feel that, especially on the eve of Poirier retiring, because Whittaker is another one that has been in the sport for a very long time. And yeah, I could absolutely see it, being a Bobby Knuckles moment, and it being like, well, how could I ever make that pick? But that's why we love this game. I love
Yeah.
being
I
wrong.
mean, I didn't pick one fight right on the main card last Saturday, so there's that. I don't know shit about fuck.
Well, the best part about it is, do you think I would rather be right about fight predictions or have fights that deliver and something out of the unordinary happens? A
Yeah.
100 times it would be the second one.
I want to be right, but I also want to enjoy. I also want to be great fights.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wrong 15 times a day, so it.
Amen to that. Amen to that.
Real quick. I don't know if you want to make a prediction on it, but like, I know it got bumped up to the co-main, and it was originally supposed to be the headliner. But that Jan McGee fight,
Yeah, I was getting ready to talk about it. I was getting ready to
okay, then
the
floor is yours.
Yeah. I was getting ready to say Peter Yan is the co-main, the former bantamweight champion. In a weird matchmaking, he takes on the streaking Marcus McGee. A lot of people complain that the UFC doesn't give guys like some of these younger guys their shine. Well, here comes Marcus McGee, undefeated in the UFC. He is 10-1. This is his first big marquee matchup against a guy, and Peter Yan, who has won his last two. Had that string of bad luck, but has won his last two. Beat Song Yadong, beat Figueiredo. I'm always a little nervous though, Bobby, when Peter Yan fights, when it's a 3-round fight and not a 5-round fight. As we know, guy is a slow starter. Last time out was a 5-round. Song was a 3-round.
Yeah, I mean, the last time he fought in Abu Dhabi too. I know a lot of people had Jan win the fight against Sugar.
Yeah.
I personally think it's a home run the way the UFC matched this up, because Marcus is not gonna let Jan download. He's gonna bring the fight directly to him, and there's always gonna be someone complaining about the rankings. And all that, I've never really been a rankings whore. Dana White calls them bullshit every single day. But I get that's how they traditionally do it. But you got to give Jan credit for just wanting to stay active. He knew damn well he wasn't going to get a fight against Merab next. So
yeah,
a win over McGee would definitely put him there, because
gives you 3 wins in a row.
Yeah, and if they're putting McGee in this spot, that just shows the brass actually believes in McGee to put on a great fight. And
what if I would have told you that Marcus McGee is older than Peter Yan?
Mm-hmm.
McGee is 35, Jan's 32. That's wild.
Yeah, it is wild in the sense but I think a big part of why that's wild is just because we're so accustomed to what Jan has already accomplished in the UFC.
I mean, Max Holloway's only 31 or something crazy like that, which is wild.
No, I mean, these guys come in young, some come a little old, but at the same time, I would say that's more of an argument to give them this opportunity and see what they got. And so yeah, I don't know, if it was a 5-round fight, I would definitely probably be leaning Peter Yan. But I definitely think McGee can put himself in a position to steal it here. But I just don't see how. Actually, I'm going to stop saying that, because every time I do, the opposite happens. But it should be a very good fight.
Yeah, Jan is heavy favorite at minus 400. Peter, Sheriff Bullet is back on is back. Obviously, he's always fighting in these Abu Dhabi type cards. He's a huge favorite over Marc-Andre Bullet. Barriott minus 650. Last time we saw the Sharp Bullet, he lost to MVP. So, Nikita Krylov's on this card. Real quick, though, to me, one of the more interesting fights here is Bryce Mitchell versus Nurmagomedov. Bryce is, doing Bryce things over there in Media Day. But your thoughts here is Bryce Mitchell fights his, at 135, dropping down to 135 here.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see him dropping down for sure. And yeah, it's a great fight to kick off the main card for sure.
Now that's on the prelims.
It is?
Yeah. Yes, the main event prelim.
Wow. I mean, I also can kind of see why they're getting there to kind of kick it off to go. But damn, yeah, that's wild, especially with it. It didn't get bumped up because they lost Pico?
No.
That's pretty whack. But, the fight will still deliver.
They didn't want Bryce on ABC. That's the reason right there.
You're a smart man. Damn, that's a great shout. That is probably why he's not on the main card. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see if Mitchell will be able to take Ced down. I still think a lot of people think Ced is very unproven. But if I'm not mistaken, that fight is as close to a pick'em. So
yeah, Bryce is slight favorite at minus 140.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and with some of the previous opponents, he has been able to get victories over. People forget he does have a 6 submission game. I don't think he's giving up too much power moving down. His opponent across from him, he doesn't really have to worry about getting chinned like that. But just what I see online, I do think people are kind of sleeping on Ced a little for sure.
Yeah, that's an interesting fight. To me, that's one of the most more intriguing fights here. It's just I want to see what Bryce looks like. I mean, for all his craziness, we'll have to see. So real quick,
his fights are always entertaining.
Yeah. So Bryce, he says moving weight down after 30 very rarely works in the fight game. Shout out Jose Aldo. Yeah, I mean Bryce is right at 30 right now, so we'll see. He does say he just feels like everybody's bigger than him at 145, so he's kind of naturally he didn't have to cut a lot of weight to make 145. So we'll see what he looks like at 135. It's very interesting. Bobby, before we get out of here, I did want to talk Usyk real quick because you mentioned him. I mean, he wins. He knocks out Dubois. I don't think anybody. To me, I'm not surprised. And shout out to the 38-year-old. As a 38-year-old myself. But I gotta ask though. I don't want to get into this greatest of all time because especially in boxing, we're talking, damn near a century. But Usyk is definitely the best of his generation, hands down. And it's not.
Yeah, I mean, close. You got 2 wins over Tyson Fury, and they literally had to sell this rematch by the whole low blow thing and stuff, and Dubois knocked out AJ, so is he on kind of this new train to kind of get back? And
so Rob thinks Usyk's top 3 heavyweights of all time. Argue with the wall. I'm not gonna. If you want to tell me that, Rob, I'm not gonna disagree. I'm not gonna disagree there. I don't think he's the. I don't really know, honestly. I do it. People will be like, oh, he's better. People will always. I think he's better than Tyson. I think he's probably better than Lennox Lewis, just his technical aspect. Tyson really wasn't that. Tyson just had lights out fighters, but So I don't know who you want to. Who your top 3 is, Rob? If you want to let us know, who the other 2, I guess, would be. You mean Ali? I guess you have to be. Maybe I don't know. Holmes.
Yeah, I mean, I found it kind of comical that like Tyson Fury called him out after it.
Yeah.
That I'm sorry that goes the same way. And really, in those two Tyson fights, I think that's really where he started to kind of separate himself in that conversation and stuff. And he's really just been able to maximize his fighting years, fighting very good and top class opponents and stuff. Um, I don't know what jackass put Jake Paul in the cage afterwards. That was just you know cool for Twitter, but
Yeah.
give me a
Yeah.
break.
Yeah. So Rob's saying he likes Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano, and Usyk. That's his top 3 heavyweights all time.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you got a pretty big field to play with there, but
yeah,
I really don't understand how anyone at this point, especially, can't have him like at least in the top 3 easily, if not number. I mean, it's kind of gonna go if you want to go current pound for pound number 1. I think he should probably be there.
agreed.
When Crawford ices Canelo, we might be having a different conversation. But like for now, you definitely have to give that to Usyk.
Yeah, Usyk's. Like I said, however you want to book it. I don't. I never saw Rocky Marciano or Joe Louis fight, so I don't ever like to say people. I have a hard time people saying people are the greatest because I've never seen them, so I've only seen highlights. But you know what I mean. So that's just how I always view things when people ask me who my greatest things of all time are. I'm like, well, this is who through these eyes, and he's right up the
And all that stuff's subjective, which is exactly right. Rob told people to argue with the wall because that's his list, and nothing you're going to say is going to change his opinion. And I respect that.
Respect. So yeah. Rob said here, only man besides Holyfield to be cruiserweight undisputed and heavyweight undisputed now, and only 2-time heavyweight undisputed. Yeah. I mean, he didn't really lose the heavyweight title to become 2-time, but that's the only part I don't like. But hey, nonetheless, boxing's fucking crazy anyway. We know that. Too many promotions, but definitely one of the best all time. I definitely 1,001% agree. The best going heavyweight for sure by miles. He's lapping the field here and then some. So he might be the best in my lifetime. That's for sure in the last 40 years. So other than that, Bobby, before we get out of here, you got anything else before we need to discuss before we get out of here? Shout out to the old man Manny Pacquiao, right?
Yeah, no, Manny looked great. A lot of people said he won that fight. Yeah, I mean, they might as well do the rematch. He looked like he definitely didn't miss a day. And since Rob is in here, I would be remiss if I did not mention we finally got the fight fucking booked. And, Rob, if you're still here, who you picking in Cyril Gahn versus Tom Aspinall?
Rob, I didn't have a chance to watch it, but I heard it wasn't the greatest things. It was what some people were saying, but shout out to your guy, your co-host. I know a friend of yours did well in the tournament. Had to be pulled out, so I just kind of followed along. But shout out. So
the stream was definitely struggling. I know they can't really control that. For most of I had it muted quite a bit because just the audio wasn't syncing. But yeah, it was a really cool aspect of having the tournament all in one night. I definitely get why Rob liked it. Reminds him, the good old times when stuff was a lot less complicated. And definitely shout out to Zach because when he made it to the finals, cardio wise, he looked dead, and he still was able to really tough through it. And he would have kept fighting if the doctor shut the whole thing down. and I think he would have won if they didn't shut it down.
So Rob
Because
said there's a new version. Watch it out. So yeah,
he definitely looked like he had the better gas tank kind of going into that, and which it credit to his cardio for being able to recover. Because in that the semi fight for him to get in, I think they even had to do a like a standoff round or something. Because the way the tournament, it was like just 2 rounds instead of the 3. But since they split one, he had to fight one more. And nothing but respect for him there.
Yeah, it's not going to be no draw, Rob, and you're crazy. You know that.
Bro, what in no?
He's trolling. He's trolling. I know. Yeah, real quick before we do get out of here, Dana White did come out. It was a bunch of fights that we pretty much knew were going to get announced. Tom Aspinall will defend his heavyweight title in October in Abu Dhabi against Ciryl Gane. We all knew everybody's pissed off. Ciryl Gane's going to get the title fight. Who gives a shit? Let Tom whoop his ass, and then we'll see Ciryl Gane, later on down the road. We're getting the Ank and your favorite fight, Ank versus Alex Pierre rematch. I know you're super excited about that. Same card, you're getting the co-main. The co-main of is going to be Merab. Shout out to Merab. His 3rd fight of the year, 3rd title fight coming up. He's going to take on the Forever Game. Corey Sandhagen gets his crack at the title.
That should be the main event. I know the UFC doesn't do it like that, but the heavier weights. But that should undoubtedly be the main event.
And then I think the fight I'm actually most intrigued. It was announced as Yuri versus Khalil Roundtree. The other ones we kind of knew. That one wasn't for sure. I'm intrigued by that fight. I think that's going to be a good fight. But we'll obviously talk about those a little bit more when they get closer. But that 3 fights is going to be all in one card in Vegas, so that ought to be pretty good. So other than that, that pretty much sums it up, huh, Bobby?
Yeah, I really got no notes. It was a good set of announcements. It was good to get the Tom thing out of the way.
Can we get the TBD versus TBD next month? I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, that's going to be a banger. I can't wait. TBD versus TBD.
I think they're holding out hope that they can reschedule Mosavar versus Pico. And if they can't, we're going to get some Paulo Costa level slop. So I wouldn't be holding your breath that one's a banger. In a perfect world.
I said TBD versus TBD is going to be a banger.
I mean, you got to put Bilal Muhammad on that card against anyone. That'd be an amazing co-main event. And I can already imagine the comments now. He calls Paulo slop, but he wants to see Bilal Muhammad. Yeah, full set of martial arts. Like, I'm sorry, I find it more intriguing than walk forward, step 3 legs back. So, but I've made it no secret. As long as the main event stays intact, I don't really give a fuck what it is. That is the one. I'll knock on the wood. I'm going to be on pins and needles until that happens. I cannot fucking wait for Drekis versus Chimaev.
Yeah, hopefully it happens. We'll see.
Don't you put that juju on me, Ricky Bobby.
We'll see you guys back here next Wednesday, 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern, for another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers, baby. For my guy, Bobby Blunts, I'm Bodkins. See y'all. Have the best week.
Thanks so much for joining us, and until next time, let's talk sport, fans. Thanks for watching.